These are not what we would say are like terms, but that's okay. It's like an x and a y. I can still multiply them together. So under here, I got 5 and I got 6. Okay? Well, what is 5 times 6? 30. Okay? So I have square root of 30. If it's possible, we then simplify it. So when I say simplify, that's when we branch it out and see if we can find any pairs. 10 and 3, okay. 2 and 5. Did that make any pairs? Oh, sorry, that should be a 3. I'm sorry, I miswrote. Thank you.
No.
So no pairs. Okay, so no pairs. So since there's no pairs, that means I can't simplify it. This is it. It's just square root of 30. Okay? All right. Okay, number 2, very similar. They're not like terms, but that's okay. I can still multiply them. What is 3 times 8? 24. All right, again, a little bit bigger of a number. So let's see if we can simplify it. 6 and 4. 2 and 2. All right, so we did find one pair. Can I split the 6 into anything that's going to make another pair? So I'll just leave it alone. Okay, so when I find a pair of 2's, I get to do what? Take it out, right? The 2 comes out. Right, the 6 stays behind because it does not have a pair. All right. Okay. Number 3. Okay, so this one, kind of like this here, right? I multiplied the numbers in front of the variables and I multiplied the variables. So here, I'm going to multiply my numbers that are in front of my square roots first. So that will give me 30. And then I multiply the ones under the square roots together. 14. Okay, I check to see if I can split 14 into anything. All it splits into is, right, and that's not any pairs, right? Okay, so no pairs. So my answer is just 30 square root of 14. Okay, number 4, same thing, okay? I'm going to multiply the numbers in front together. Negative 10, And then I'm going to multiply the numbers that are underneath together. 48, good. All right, 48 is pretty big, so let's see if we can simplify the 48. 24 times 2, okay? What about 24? 12 and 2? All right, well, there's a pair of 2's, right? Can I split that 12 anymore? Yeah, what does 12 split into? 3 and 4. 2 and 2. All right. So 2 pairs of 2's. I got a 2 here and a 2 here. What am I going to do with them? Multiply them. 2 times 2 would be... And what was already out there? Negative 10. So 4 times negative 10, negative 40. What was left over? 3. 3 was left over without a pair. Right? Okay, number 5 is the same thing, just instead of putting the multiplication dot, they put parentheses, but exact same thing. So, I multiply the numbers in front first, right, positive 48, and then underneath next, 4. Okay. Can I simplify square root of 4?
Yes,
2 and 2. Okay, so I have a 2 I get to take out, and what was already out there? 48. So what am I going to do with those numbers? Multiply them. So what is 2 times 48? 96. Did we have any leftovers? No, so I don't need a square root. I'm done. Okay. All right, right here. It says square root of 5 squared. So what does it mean to square something? Multiply by itself. So this means square root of 5 times square root of 5. Square root of 25. Very good. square root of 25 is 5. Any leftovers? So I'm good there. All right. All right, we just got a couple more on the back. All right, so again, it says 3 square root of 2 squared. So this means 3 square root of 2 times 3 square root of 2, right?
So 1 square root of 4.
Right. I can multiply the 3 times the 3, which is going to give me 9.
So 18.
And then I've got square root of 2 and square root of 2, which is 4.
Oh, 18. Nothing left over there.
Right, this makes a pair, doesn't it? A pair of 2's. 2 times 9 would give us 18. And you guys said there's no leftovers, right? So that's it. Okay. All right, so here it says we've got square root of 3 over 7 times square root of 14 over 27. Okay, so what I want you to remember is that because this has got a square root over the whole thing, that means I'm taking the square root of this number and this number, okay? So that could also be written as square root of 3 over square root of 7. You can write them as separate square roots. And I'm going to do the same for that second fraction. Square root of 14 over square root of 27. Okay, now remember, whenever you multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators, so the top, and you multiply the denominators, the ones on the bottom. Okay, so in the top, I have 3 times 14. 42, and they're under a square root, right? So square root of 42. And then in the denominator, I've got 7 times 27, which would be 189. Okay. Now, both of those are pretty big numbers, right? Okay. So, if we think about it in the fact that we were able to split it up and write it as 2 separate radicals, then that should mean that I'm able to put it back, right? All underneath 1. So I should also be able to write this as square root of 42 over 189, right? Okay. So in your calculator, we're going to see if this fraction simplifies. Do not put the square root in there, right? Do not put the big square root. I just want you putting the fraction in there. So you're going to put in your calculator 42 divided by 189 and hit math, enter, and see if that fraction simplifies for us.
2 over 9.
2 over 9. Okay, so this is equivalent to 2 over 9. But again, don't put the square root in your calculator because it'll give you a really bad decimal you don't want to deal with. Okay? All right, so it's simplified to 2 over 9. Okay, these numbers are a lot more manageable, right? Okay, so now I'm going to split it back up.
9, 3, and 3.
So can I split 2 into anything that's going to make any pairs? What about 9, though?
Yeah,
3 and 3. All right, so in the top, we said we can't change it, right? So it stays square root of 2. But in the bottom, we found a pair of 3, so that comes out. Do we have any leftovers in the bottom? So then we're done. Okay? All right. We got one more. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to split it up as 2 separate radicals. And then we're going to multiply the numerators, and we're going to multiply denominators. So in the numerator, I got 5 times 1, which would be square root of 5. Good. So I got square root of 5 up here.
And then square root of 36.
Square root of 36. Okay. So if I can write it as 2 separate ones, I can also go back and write it as a whole one, right? So I'm going to write it as 5 over 36 all under 1 radical. Okay, I check in my calculator just this part, no square root, and see if it simplifies. So 5 divided by 36, math, enter. Does it change it any? No. Okay. So I can't simplify the fraction any, so I'm going to go back to having it written as two separate ones and see if I can simplify either of them. Can I split 5 into anything that's going to make any pairs?
No.
Okay, so the 5 has to stay square root of 5. What about the 36? 6 and 6. So that's a pair. So it gets to come out, right? So this is over 6. Were there any leftovers? No. Okay?
I don't really like fractions.
Yeah, the fraction ones are a little bit more work. But I did show you that step where you can simplify it if possible in your calculator, which makes it so that you're not having to simplify giant numbers like 42 and 1/8.